Hello everyone, this is Mr. Eugene, and here in this video, I will bring us through information related to your ICA1 assignment. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Let's first take a look at the overview. Now in this ICA1, it makes up 40% of the overall assessment for this module. This is an individual assignment where you will need to apply the 5 stages of the design thinking process to a design challenge. As for your deliverables, you will need to submit on an individual basis a typewritten report that details the process you took, including all supporting evidence of your work, findings, and analysis. Let's cover the steps that you will need to take to complete the project. You will first need to gain empathy for the users and develop a complete understanding of the needs your users might have. You will then frame the specific problem or opportunity that you choose to focus on in a unique way and brainstorm radical ways to solve this problem or take advantage of this opportunity. Finally, you will need to create a rough prototype to represent your innovation and test your solution with your target users. Now let's talk about the challenge or the task that you are assigned with. Your challenge is to reimagine or redesign the mealtime experience at NYP. I believe for most people, having a meal is an important and essential part of the day. Eating a balanced, varied diet allows us to keep the right amount of nutrients to help us keep healthy, fight off sickness, keep our energy levels up, and keep our minds working. Besides replenishing our energy, some may see having a meal as a way to unwind and recharge one's mind by either eating with others or by eating alone. Regardless, I'm sure there are a variety of challenges, problems, and frustrations that people encounter during their mealtime experiences. Your challenge, hence, is to reimagine, redesign, and improve the mealtime experience at NYP, especially in the post-pandemic world. Next, let's talk about what are some of the things that are required of you for this assignment. First, you are required to take lots of notes. Writing down notes or note-taking is a very good way of keeping track of what's going on and helps you remember what you heard. Your notes become a useful record of key information which you can then use later as reference when you start to put your report together. A plastic folder has been given to you especially for this module, for you to keep your handwritten notes, your sketches, ideas, tutorial worksheets. So I encourage you to use that well to organize your work. To begin your challenge, you might want to ask yourself some questions. Questions such as, who are the different groups of people who need to eat at some point in time at NYP? Where do they go? Either to get their meals or to have their meals. What are the pains and challenges that users experience? Perhaps long queuing time, perhaps they can't find a seat, perhaps the cleanliness of the place. What is the biggest pain for that particular user? In order to complete this project, you will arrange to make meaningful conversations and listen to the mealtime experience of various groups of users at NYP. You will distill what you learn from the field into a potential opportunity and then design a way to enhance the mealtime experience at NYP in the post-pandemic world. Design thinking is also a collaborative process. So although this is an individual assignment, you can find and work with another classmate, henceforth known as your collaborator, to enhance your findings and better develop your solution. For instance, When you're conducting your interviews, your collaborator can help you by taking notes or photos. And in return, you can do the same for your collaborator. Or maybe when it comes to brainstorming for ideas, you can also tap on your collaborator to brainstorm together with you for more ideas and to build ideas upon ideas. When conducting testing, your collaborator can come in again to help you act out the scenario as you explain your solution to the target user. And in return, you can also do the same for your collaborator. Having said that, please be mindful that at the end of the day, the submission of your assignment is on an individual basis. So the solution that you propose should not be the same as your collaborator. Different ways of approaching the design thinking process will lead to different solutions. For example, during the empathize stage, different users will have different needs. So you must not interview the same person that your collaborator has interviewed. Different needs would mean different solutions needed. Hence, please do not hand in an identical report as your collaborator. Many a times, students will ask me, how many interviews should we conduct? To answer that question, there is no minimum number of interviews that you're supposed to conduct. But the more people you speak with, the more you understand, and the better the insights you will get. Even if face-to-face physical interviews are not possible, you can still arrange for video conference interviews using apps like Zoom or Skype or WhatsApp. I recently heard this saying that diversity is the compass for innovation. This saying is very true indeed, because the key to innovation is to explore. And when you try to innovate and come up with something new, more often than not, you will find that things may seem very ambiguous, but that's okay. When there isn't a map, the diversity of perspectives can actually help us to navigate and come to the strongest outcome. So, do not be limited by the obvious. Be obnoxiously curious. Always ask why and find out more. Go wild with your ideas and make your solution unique, and don't just settle for the boring stuff. And when you do that, you may be surprised by your own potential. You may be happy to know that for this particular assignment, no presentation is required. Now let's talk about the report that you will need to submit for this assignment. You should submit a typewritten report with a maximum of 2,500 words. That's about a 5-page essay. Cover page and appendices will not count towards the word count. So just to be clear, what this means is that what you include inside the appendices, such as your interview notes, your interview questions, your photographs, your drawings, all that will not affect the 2,500 word count. So when should you submit your report? You should submit your report online through Brightspace latest before 27th of November 2022, 2359 hours, basically the end of that Sunday. Please note that there is penalty if you submit late. 5 marks will be deducted for each working day of late submission, up to a maximum of 5 days or 25 marks deduction. Beyond the 5 days, any late submission without any valid reason will automatically be awarded 0 marks. So please submit your report on time. Very quickly, let's cover what are the different sections that you should include in your report. Other than the cover page, these are the sections that you should have, starting with an introduction, where you can describe the design challenge, state what are the preliminary research you have found, such as the background information on the topic, such as who, what, when, and where, as well as the impact of its outcome on the users. Next, you can move on to the empathize stage. Provide findings and insights on the users based on research and interviews that you have conducted. You can mention here What are the interview questions that you've prepared? Who you have interviewed? Talk about your empathy map and include any photographs and videos of the interviews that you have conducted. Moving on to the define stage, you can describe the process of reframing the design challenge, what the final problem statement that you have chosen, and the reason why it was chosen. Next would be the ideate stage, where you can describe and explain the brainstorming process that you've conducted, perhaps together with your collaborator, as well as all the crazy and wild ideas that you've generated. After that, you can talk about the prototype stage, where you describe and document down the process, not just the final outcome, but it will be better if you can show the developmental process. And then after the prototype stage comes the test stage, where you describe the process of the testing, who you conducted testing on, how the testing was carried out. And don't forget to explain and outline the insights that you have gained from the testing. Last but not least, you can end off with a conclusion where you describe the final innovation and its impact to the users. In addition, you should also reflect on the whole process and describe what you have learned from this experience. After the conclusion is where you can include the appendices. And this could include all your interview notes, your photos, your drawings, and so on. By the way, in case you're not sure how the format of a report looks like, you can refer to a report template that I provided you on Brightspace under the menu that's called In-Course Assessments. On a more serious note, I also want to talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism is a serious matter. Plagiarism is the act of taking and using the whole or any part of ideas, words, or works of other people and passing it off as your own work without acknowledgement of the original source. The act of plagiarism is an offense under NYP's policy of academic integrity, and any act of plagiarism may be construed as academic dishonesty. So if you are found to have committed an act that contravenes academic integrity, discipline action will be taken against you. And I really do not hope that this will happen to any of you. It is also important not to share your work with other learners, because all parties that are involved in any act of plagiarism, whether it's the learner who have shared their work with others, would be liable for disciplinary action. If any learner asks you to share your work with him or her, it is important to turn that person down and report the incident immediately to your tutor to safeguard your integrity. Now we come to the assessment components. These are the 4 components by which your submitted report will be assessed. The first component is on the design thinking process. This is 30 marks, where we assess your understanding and application of the 5 stages. The second component is also 30 marks, where we assess whether you understand users' needs in terms of the scope and quality of research that you have conducted. The third component is again 30 marks, and this is where you will be assessed based on the idea-solution match, whether the development of solution satisfies the needs of the users. And the last 10 marks is for the quality of your report. This is where I look for the paragraphing, referencing, layout, and the use of language. And with these 4 components, that makes up 100 marks. In general, students who demonstrate strong understanding and application of the concepts with good reflection on the process will score a better grade. Students who merely describe the solution without explanation on the process and how the solution was arrived at will score lower. 4 final tips before we end this video. Number 1 is to start early on your assignment and try not to do any last-minute work. The second tip is to document down every step, every week. So each week when you come for lesson, we will be working on part of the ICA. So it is important for you to keep track of what you have done so that you can transfer that information later on into your ICA report. The third tip that I'll give you is, in your submission, it is important to show the process that you went through and not just the final outcome. And the final tip is to share what you have learned from the journey. So describe in your report what you learned from each of the 5 stages as you go through them, so that your tutor know how much you understand and how much you have learned from the lessons. So with that, I just want to say good luck to everybody, and I wish all of you the very best for your ICA1. Once again, if you like this video, do click on the like button. And if you have any queries, do feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to clarify anything with you. See you guys around.